Hey, Chief Meteorologist Kendra Kent here in the Fox Carolina Weather Center. Forgive the sound of the printer in the background. I think it's about to print something that's right next to my little workstation. Hope everybody's having a nice afternoon. What a gorgeous afternoon it has turned out to be. I'm going to open up Facebook so I can see your comments. Nice to get some full-blown sunshine for a change. And at least temperatures have gotten into the 40s, which is a good place to be before we see all of this weather move in later on tonight. So I got this. Hi, Joshua. Thanks for saying hello. Let a few of you hop on and we'll get into the nitty gritty here, but you've probably already seen that we have a winter storm warning for all of the mountains. If you're up in Western North Carolina, you definitely know about this because this is where ice could be significant. A winter weather advisory, nothing to play with either, though, and that's where what we're included in the upstate. Greenville, Spartanburg, Gaffney, Pickens, northern part of Oconee County, including Walhalla, extending up into areas like Long Creek, some of the smaller communities up in Oconee County. That's where we could see some light glaze in isolated areas. But anywhere in South Carolina, it's just not looking likely that we would see freezing rain last long. It's going to be mixed with rain. Any issues would be very isolated as it looks right now. So I'm not overly concerned about roads in the upstate, but I do think if you live in the northern part of these counties highlighted in purple, you're going to want to really take it slow in the morning and possibly avoid travel altogether till around 8 or 9 in the morning when a lot of this calms down. As for ice potential, the light pink, that's where the brief freezing rain is possible, mixed with rain. Again, minor issues expected, more significant issues expected where the dark pinks are located there. Ice likely up in Western North Carolina. This could be a significant ice storm. Now, I don't think this is going to be significant for every single county, but there could be 1 or 2 counties particularly hit hard, depending on where some of the heavier freezing rain sets up. Could that be McDowell County, Henderson County? The favored locations, climatologically speaking, are these eastward facing slopes, mainly in the central part of McDowell County, extending down into Henderson County, Polk County, higher terrain of Rutherford County. We're really going to be watching these areas overnight. And you may be wondering about the difference between certain kinds of precipitation. You know, why is this going to be freezing rain as opposed to snow or something like that? Well, most of the upstate's going to have a levels all above freezing, and that's going to lead to rain. But if you have a shallow layer of cold air at the surface and then warm air aloft, that will end up causing the rain to freeze instantly on contact with surfaces. So that leads you to freezing rain. That's what we're going to see more of. There's still a chance of some sleet and some snow up in the mountains as this event gets started, but a lot of warm air is going to move in the mid-levels, and that's what's going to lead to that freezing rain threat. Here's a look at the latest radar, and you can see just a mix of all kinds of precipitation snowing up around my old stomping grounds of Starkville, Mississippi, where I went to college, Memphis, portions of Arkansas, Little Rock, and then getting an icy mess from Jackson over toward Shreveport. New Orleans going to see mostly rain out of this. This system marching our direction. And again, we're going to see mostly rain in the upstate, while the mountains will see a good chance at freezing rain. And then in the northern tier of the upstate, some brief freezing rain is possible. Love these temperatures, though. We're finally getting into the upper 40s. All that sunshine helping us today. Even 44 for Hendersonville. Not bad. Looking at 48 in Anderson. So here's what you really want to know. Let's go hour by hour as we look at the precipitation develop later on tonight. I'll back it up just a little bit. You can see around midnight, showers pushing in. And then we start to see some ice develop up in Western North Carolina. And notice how it tries to pop into the Greenville County area just right over the border. So any spots close to the North Carolina border will be vulnerable to some light icing overnight. But look, mostly rain for the upstate as you go through 2, 3 in the morning. And then as the heavier rain arrives, that's what's also going to be accompanied by some warmer air, a push of warmer air in the upper levels. So that's going to help to shut off a lot of the potential for freezing rain in the upstate, but it will keep it going up in the mountains. Notice that we still have freezing rain as of 4 a.m. on this latest computer model. This is one of our higher resolution models that usually does a pretty good job in these situations, especially when we get about 12 to 24 hours before the event. And then you can see here, as we go toward 8 o'clock, a lot of the freezing rain completely done. But notice around Gaffney, Cherokee County, see that little spot of pink there. That would be a little bit of freezing rain mixed with rain. So we could have an isolated issue there. But again, that's the key, is isolated. I'm not expecting big issues as we go through the morning hours in the upstate. And then notice 10, 11 a.m. There are a few little areas of yellow south of I-85. Those spots could actually bring some thunder as the system is moving through, but the severe weather threat looks to stay south of us tomorrow. I think the afternoon is going to be much calmer, much less rain, but we'll be watching storms to our south. And then by the time we get toward 8, 9 o'clock in the evening, the event is over. So take home message, if you're sitting in the city of Greenville, city of Spartanburg, I wouldn't worry too much about freezing rain tonight. I do think there could be a patch of it at a time between midnight, 6 a.m., but it's going to be a lot of cold rain for the most part. And overnight low temperatures should hover around 34 for much of the 85 corridor. It's moving northward that we'll start to have some problems. It's going to be important to check in, though, first thing in the morning. Nicole and Kylie will be here on The Morning News, and I'll be here late tonight to bring you updates too. If anything changes with this, it could always change, but right now it just doesn't look like it's going to be a big storm for the upstate, other than a lot of cold rain and at least patches of freezing rain in the northern tier. But again, we'll continue to watch that trend and see if any of that builds farther to the south. And then up in the mountains, a significant ice storm potential. I'm going to work on those totals. I think a 1/4 inch plus is possible in some spots, and that could mean power outages up in western North Carolina. The good news is that it wouldn't be one of those events that becomes icy and then we stay below freezing for several days. It's going to warm up. So we're not going to be experiencing, the long lasting effects, but certainly could be without power in spots that lose it for 24 hours while we continue to, see things hopefully improve by Friday. But again, important to remember that none of this is set in stone. It's an evolving forecast, and we'll continue to bring you updates as we get them. Let me see if I can answer a few questions on here. Amy, good question about winds. It will be breezy tomorrow as that system moves by, but it looks like thunderstorm threat looks pretty low. Could have a little bit of development south of I-85, maybe a rumble of thunder, but it will be gusty. The winds will be gusty once that rain moves out. Terry asking when this will start in western North Carolina. Let me back it up for you, Terry. And you can see here, it's going to be mostly clear till about midnight, and then we'll start to see the rain pushing in. Look how quickly it fills in. So by 2 a.m., 3 a.m., solidly in that rain and some freezing rain across the mountains. Angela in Forest City, be ready for some significant ice potentially for you. Thank you, Melissa. I appreciate it. Joshua, school closings are always tough to say. I know that spots like Greenville County like to get out and check conditions in the morning. I think that the lion's share of our counties in the upstate will be clear of any freezing issues. But you can't rule out right up along the North-South Carolina border having some problems with the roads. So that's why I think that it is possible we could have school closures, but right now that's not, I wouldn't imagine it. And of course, I don't control that. And it's always good to be safe rather than sorry. So if they did close, I'd say that's probably a good call. But at the same time, there's a good reason to think that things will be okay and to wait and make that call later on. Ethel is asking, how far will it come into South Carolina? Really, it looks like it could dip into areas just north of Spartanburg and Greenville briefly overnight, but the heavy rain will be all over. Look at this. 6 a.m. That's going to be a tough morning commute, but luckily we start to clear out later on. Hey, Dwayne. Hi, Melissa and Landrum. You'll have to watch in Fingerville. Brina saying hello from there. Those spots, northern Spartanburg County, will need to watch out for the potential for any development of ice, because northern portions of these counties will be the most vulnerable to get some freezing temperatures. All right, well, I will continue to work on the forecast, bring you more updates coming up on the 4 o'clock news. Be sure to join us, and we'll, of course, be here for you through the morning tomorrow, too, as all of this is coming down. A wet, icy mess. For the most part, wet in the upstate, but certainly looking very icy in the mountains. So I would prepare now to avoid travel up in western North Carolina during the day on Thursday. All right, see you guys later. Thanks for joining me for this Facebook Live update.